Hey gang, welcome to my channel. I'm the Pony 314 and Vive la France today, because what we have here is the model 1916 Berthier Carbine, a modified version of the original 1890 Berthier Carbine. So here are the basics. This is a bolt-action cavalry carbine firing the 8mm Lebel cartridge from originally a 3-round magazine, but with these model 1916s increased to a 5-round magazine, but in either case loaded using an en-bloc clip. And these Berthiers lacked a safety. You heard that right. These did not have a safety. But the Berthier was designed by French engineer André Virgile Paul-Marie Berthier, I'll say that even one time fast, and was introduced in 1890 to serve as the French military's cavalry carbine. And this was an age in which cavalry carbines were generally shorter versions of the rifles carried by infantry. Some countries were already starting to explore the concept of the short rifle. That's a rifle of intermediate length that could be used by either infantry or cavalry. But the French did things their own way, as usual. Their infantry rifle was the 1886 Lebel, which had an 8-round tubular magazine under the barrel, with the rounds loaded singly, which made the Lebel quite impractical to be modified into a carbine. So the French just felt obliged to issue a totally different weapon for cavalry. It did use a somewhat modified Lebel-style action. The tubular magazine replaced with that en-bloc system, but that 8mm Lebel round with its heavy rim forced the use of a single-stack magazine, and consequently it was limited to 3 rounds. Hence, that distinctive bulge in the magazine in front of the trigger guard. Now, even I could admit, 3 rounds, it's not a lot, but I probably would have taken that over the quirky 1886 Lebel, but that's just me. But as was typical of rifles using an en-bloc system, when the last round is chambered, the empty en-bloc would fall through a slot at the bottom of the magazine. More on that later. And this is about how they would have appeared. We'll leave this out for now, but the cavalry carbine did have this curving bolt handle. In 1907, a full-length rifle version was introduced for French colonial troops. That had a straight bolt handle. But in either case, combat in World War I showed pretty plainly that 3 rounds doesn't get you very far. And not when the Mauser used by the Germans held 5. I mean, gee, who'd have thought? But at least the French learned from this and decided they'd better do something about it. Hence, this version, the model 1916. Now, what the French did was they began modifying these by collecting them and sending them back to the factory to add an extended 5-round magazine. Here's the extension that allows for that, by the way. This also meant that 5-round en-bloc clips would be needed, but these model 1916s could still use the 3-round en-blocs in a pinch, but of course not the other way around. And the slot at the bottom of the magazine could allow for the ingress of dirt or mud, which was not exactly in short supply on the Western Front. So they added this, a hinged trap door that closed the magazine off to the elements. You would need to open this at some point to allow the en-bloc to fall free, so I wouldn't call it a perfect solution, but I definitely call it a solution. So these were modified in bulk, with the apparent intention of re-equipping entire units rather than doing so piecemeal. But this appears to have taken some time. And so, not a lot of model 1916 Berthiers got into service before the end of World War I. But they did wind up seeing a lot of post-war service. French colonial forces, the regular French army did continue using them to some degree or another into World War II, despite being theoretically replaced. And also after World War I, the Czechs, the Poles, the Greeks used it. Some saw service in the Spanish Civil War. So the 1916 Berthier did get out in the world quite a bit. No one ever seems to put French small arms on those lists of greatest this or that. So the Berthier doesn't exactly stand tall in a world of Lee Enfields, Mausers, or Springfields. But what you can see about it is that the Berthier in any form did what was needed. And I guess that's have to be enough. But these are really just fun rifles to shoot. Not just because, well, the inherent nature of shooting and being fun and all that kind of thing, but because of their comparative rarity to other types. So I think we better get into the range and show you the 1916 Berthier in action.
We're out here at the Municipal Shooting Range in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, with the model 1916 Berthier Carbine. There's our bleeding zombie target. I have a couple of loaded 5-round end block clips. Remember, 5, not 3 with this baby. And we're going to have some fun. That shell just hit me in the face when I ejected it. I never had that problem with the Lee Enfield.
Apart from what I've already said, there were some number of other versions of the Berthier, with various modifications, experimental versions with different calibers, attempts to modernize it, so on and so forth, and we're not going to go all the way through that. If you really have an interest in the Berthier as a system, then I'd recommend you check out Ian's channel for Forgotten Weapons. He has access to all kinds of really cool stuff that I don't, and there are actually several videos, each one dealing with a specific version of the Berthier. So if you want to know about this sort of thing, go check that out. Go check out his channel in general, by the way. But as far as I'm concerned, me being something of a Milcert guy, the Berthier Carbine is really just a fine addition to the collection. It's great to have, it's great to shoot, it's great to talk about, it's great to show others. And all that combined, it's definitely a weapon worth having. And we're going to show that worth by going back to the range and putting a few more shots in our target. So, let's not delay, let's get down to Truth or Consequences.
Now going to do our second shoot with the model 1916 Berthier Carbine. Let's see if I eject right into my face again. Well, we're not putting that on the blooper reel for one thing, but that's the price you pay for using a bolt-action military rifle when you're left-handed. But, oh well, enough of that. Let's go put 5 more rounds in that fella down there. Alright, and that was our episode on the model 1916 Berthier Carbine. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like all the stuff we do on this channel, then there's a perfectly good subscribe button down there, and you know what to do with that. I'm the Pony 314, and I'll see you at the range.